There we go.
Wonderful. Hi, everybody. See everyone's trickling in.
Yep. Here. All in alphabetical order. It's amazing how you guys do that. No, that's just how it pops on our screen. You get alphabetized. So welcome to our webinar. This is a good one. We got lots of show and tell. That's my favorite. I like to show things. I see a few of you on this call who are going to be like, that's my site. So woo woo. Um, that's always fun. So hopefully you don't mind. So I don't tell you, I just kind of go, oh, let me share this one.
We
All
like it to
right.
be a surprise.
Yeah. And I will say this though, if you do have a cool event going on and you'd like to like put it in the question and answer, I can throw it into my show and tell, which is in the after Jordan's first part. So go ahead and send that in if you'd like to. If you're like, I'm doing a cool event page, you should see this. So love those. All right. Okay. Thank you guys for joining us again. We love seeing you return. In case this is your first time coming to one of our webinars, we are using Zoom webinar, which is a little different than Zoom meeting. There is a Q&A. That's how you send in questions to us. You're all muted, but send in those questions so we can see them, and then we'll respond via the Q&A box. So watch for that Q&A box. Please open that up. Well, Jordan's kicking us off today, so
All
Miss
right.
Jordan.
Thank you. Again, welcome everyone for joining us this month. Our topic for April is events best practices on your website. So we've got a lot of great examples to show you, and we'll walk through some of the basics of creating those events on your site. On the call today is your usual crew. You're probably used to seeing all of our faces. I've got Allison and myself as your presenters, and then we do have Christina and Chrissy on as moderators to help answer those questions. Brian is with us in spirit this meeting. He's off this weekend, but he's a great resource if you know anyone that's looking for a website or you've got questions about any of our pricing. You're welcome to reach out to Brian. Okay, we're kicking this webinar off with a poll question right away. We usually save it for kind of midway through to make sure you're paying attention, but we're going to do it at the beginning today. Allison can go ahead and launch that poll.
All right,
It
there are three
is, oh, go
questions in
ahead.
the poll. Yeah, let me grab this one. There's three questions in the poll, so you're gonna have to scroll down this box that popped on your screen. We'd love for everyone to participate in this. Just take a moment and go through. The first question is how you do your events. So there's only one choice there. The second question, you can pick as many of these as apply. You'll see like golf tournament, 5K pickleball. That's like sporting event. Maybe it's not called a golf tournament. Maybe you're doing frisbee golf. I don't know. Any of those, or a gala type of power of the purse type of soiree, whatever. Retreats, conferences, classes, stuff the bus. We're getting close to that. We thought we'd ask about that. I've been doing a lot of meetings with folks on those lately. Day of Carings, Christmas programs, and then there's some others out there, I'm sure. If you have an other and you want to let us know what it is, go ahead and use that Q&A and tell us what your other is for your events. And then the
We
last
like
question's about the
knowing,
QR code. Yeah.
I say we like knowing those other events because it helps us as we're kind of creating demo content or mocking up stuff for these webinars. We want to try and pull things that, um, apply to everybody, kind of a bunch of different examples.
Oh, I like these events coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so some of you do your events through Constant Contact. Let me see, how are we doing on our percentage? I got a few of you haven't answered yet, so if you want to take a shot at it, go ahead. I'll give you another second while I look at these coming in. Night at the races, trivia through the decade, music concerts.
Oh my gosh,
Do
lip
your
sync
events.
battles. I love that.
Sign up Genius. All right, we can talk about that one. Yeah. Vine and Dines. Yep. I've seen those, Lisa. That's my old United Way. Onslow. Purse bingo. There's always this like, I wonder what all these are. All right, let me end this poll and share with you your results. And do you see them? You should see them.
Yep.
That we had we have 41% of you using other for events. So what that tells me is a lot of you came to this not because you're wanting to know how to do with what you already have on your website. You're like not using it yet, and you're wondering what our system can do. So that's super cool. It's actually higher than I would have expected. Those of you using Eventbrite or another tool, we're going to be really more focused on the website web form options within our system. That is going to be the primary focus on this. So you're going to want to see what you can do though. Okay. Annual meetings. Yeah, we're going to cover a lot of these events. We got a lot of samples out there. Thanks for all the others. And yeah, there's a good number of you who don't know the QR code thing. So we'll share that real quick. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Miss Jordan, back at you.
All right. Our agenda for today, we're going to start off with some Did You Knows, and a lot of these Did You Knows will point out through the rest of the webinar. We're going to walk through creating events, some repeating event or recurring event best practices. We'll go through some event registration using those web forms on the site, promoting events, and then we're going to showcase our mindful giving tool at the end. We've made some really exciting new updates to it, so we want to just kind of walk through that platform because our team is very excited and we're hoping you will be as well. Okay, jumping right into our Did You Knows. We've got 6 of them today. The first one is, did you know that you can customize your event URLs? I know sometimes we have kind of longer event titles and the site will kind of make that event title your URL, but you can shorten that up if you need to. If you're using any marketing materials where you're needing to promote, a specific word, you can customize what that URL looks like for that specific event. You can also add a block to your calendar page to highlight some featured events. We've done this in a previous webinar, but using those blocks, you can place that right above the calendar. If you need to put a special note up there or a quick link to registration, that's a great Did You Know. We'll point that out as well. Did you know it's a good idea to use QR codes on event flyers versus the URL just for easier access? Did you know web forms will allow you to customize the auto replies with specific fields from the form itself? So when users are submitting that form, they get the email confirmation. You can customize what that auto reply says. Web forms also have options to set limits on how many form submissions or sponsor levels or registrants you can receive on that form. And lastly, did you know when using Stripe on web forms, you can pass on that processing fee to the register? So again, we'll cover all of these throughout today, but wanted to start off with these Did You Knows. All right, so I am gonna start it off on kind of my topics over here with when to use recurring events, and then we'll walk through creating a new event and adding in those repeating options. So I'm not sure if you've noticed, but when you're creating an event on the back end, you should see a repeats option. And there's also a whole nother event block underneath that just says add another item. And so I wanted to talk through what the differences between those were and when you might use one versus the other. So if you have an event that follows a daily, weekly, monthly, or even annually kind of formula, right? It's always every Monday, every week, or it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week, and it follows the same pattern, then a repeating event is probably a good option to use when you're adding events to your site. I do want to make a note here that when you are using the repeats option or creating a repeating event, we do recommend not to use the never option. So don't create a never ending event string or series that will just create events that kind of go on and on and on your site. And the reason we say that is because your site is going to try and load all of the events on your calendar page at one time. And if you have events that are never ending, multiple of them, it's going to slow down the loading time of your calendar page. So you'll see that page is going to take a lot longer to load. Our recommendation, if you're doing repeating events, is to either have it set on a specific date, no less than a year long, or have it end after a certain number of times. This also helps keep someone in your site reviewing your events, updating that content, and making sure you've got correct information on your event pages. The add another item option for your events, I think is a good use case if you have an odd one-off date. So let's say you have like a class or a workshop that is usually Mondays and Wednesdays, and maybe one of the Wednesdays you need to cancel and you need to reschedule that to Friday, but it's just a one-off event with all the same event details. That's a great use case to use that add another item for that Friday. And we'll walk through that in our example here in just a minute. And then just a reminder on recurring events, all of the event details are going to stay the same for every event within that recurring string. So the event title stays the same. All the information within that body area or those components stay the same. So if you have events that need different titles every week or different body information, you may want to create those as one-off events or just kind of update. No, you have to go in and update that body each time. Okay, let's do some work within the Drupal site now. So the first did you know fact was just on the event URL. So I just wanted to point out real quickly where to change that. Make this full screen. This is a readathon event. And if you can see here, whoops. I made it full screen and then I couldn't get to my URL. If you can see right here, this event title is read-thon. So if I wanted to change this, maybe I just wanted it to say /read. When you are editing your event, on the right-hand side, you do have an option to adjust that URL alias. So if this box is checked, it's automatically going to create an alias or a URL based off the title you have in here. But if you uncheck this box, you can customize what this URL looks like. So if I just wanted this to be /read, I can enter that in and click save.
So Jordan, I'd like to make a comment on this.
Sure.
So think about your search engines and your longevity on an event. I frequently will see folks build events and be like golf 2024, and that becomes the URL for that year. And then the next year it's a different one. But like if golf or if read is an annual event, you want to keep using that exact same URL year after year because maybe you made a QR code for it. Maybe it's, it's linked to different people. People bookmarked it. So I think events is one of those things you really do want to give some thought to what you want your permanent URL for that to be.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay. So let's create a recurring event now together as we walk through that. So hopefully everyone knows how to create an event on the site. It is under content, add content, and then events here. This is going to bring up a blank slate where we can start to put in all of our event information. So I'm going to pull in a great title. I did copy all my content over in a separate window here to make this speed it up a little bit. So I'm going to do a summer tutoring K through 5th grade. This is going to be a class, so it's going to be an event series. I do want to go ahead and add a great header image in here. So we'll add a new file. I've got some kids working on a computer. I thought that was great for tutoring. I'm going to make sure I fill out that alternative text field to help with ADA compliance. This is just a description of this image. And then I can put in my event details here. So I'm going to start this tutoring class. It's going to be Mondays and Wednesdays starting April 22nd. And I'm going to have this run for 4 weeks. So just for summertime. And we'll make this event 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So in the event date for recurring events, you want to put your first event details in here. So I've seen where sometimes, the event start date is 4/22, and then 8 weeks later, the end date is that 8 weeks later end date. We want to keep that start and end date the same date with the same start and end, start and end time for that one event. If I wanted to, you could always make this an all-day event if needed. If it's a holiday, if it's a office closure, you can do an all-day event that takes away that start time and end time. You can also adjust with the duration. That will automatically adjust that end date time to whatever you said if you didn't want to kind of manually type that in. Once we've got our initial date in there, that's when we can come to the repeats option. And when it's set to never, it means it's not a repeating event, it's a one-off or one-time event. But there are options to have this be a daily, weekly, monthly, or annually repeating event. For this example, I'm going to go with a weekly event. It's going to repeat every Monday and Wednesday every week. You also have the option to put in how many weeks does it repeat. If this repeats every 1 week, that means every single week, Monday, Wednesday, it's occurring. But if I needed to, I could have this repeat every 2 weeks. Maybe it's kind of 1 week on, 1 week off. So every 2 weeks, this event would occur. So you can adjust this as needed for weeks, days, months, any of those options there. This is just going to be every week. And then the ends option, this is where I would recommend never using the never option. We don't want to create those unending event strings and slow down the loading time on our calendar. I would recommend either using the after or on a specific date. So if you know you want to offer this class 8 times, and after the 8 times, no more events will be created or shown on that calendar, you can use the after that way. Or if there is a specific date, you know, you're running this class until, you know, maybe the first day of school starts, you can go in and select a specific date for this event to end on. I'm going to use the after, and we're going to do after 8 times. Now, I did say I wanted this event to occur Monday and Wednesday, and right now I just have it occurring on Monday. So within the advanced options, this is where I can select those specific days I want the event to show up on. So Monday and Wednesday are my event days. I could do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I was doing repeats every month, this will change so I could select, you know, maybe the third Thursday of the month, just like our webinars. You could put in those kind of advanced options. Okay, and then let me throw some content down here real quick. Well, let's center this. And let's add a button. I'm going to put a fake link behind it, but maybe there's a permission slip that you need. Okay, and then let's save this event here. So I see my body down here. I've got my button. My image should show up here in just a minute. But I should now also see this event show up on the calendar page. Here is that summer tutoring. So it's occurring Monday and Wednesday, and it's going to occur 8 times. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the 8th. And then here's our 7th and 8th, and then it stops after that 8 times. One of the cool things you can do with events, let's say, for example, within May, on the 8th, you don't have any tutors available, or you need to cancel that class. And you're going to reschedule it for the Friday. So you can do that within the events on Drupal. And to do that, we want to go back to our event page within the editing screen. And first, I'm going to remove that event that I don't have tutors there for. So once you've created a recurring event, you should see a new button pop up down here called Manage Instances. And when you click on that, it will show you every single instance that you have of this event. So I can find that May 8th date, and I can say, hey, I don't have class on this date. I need to go ahead and remove that from the calendar. And I can remove that instance. It will ask you if you're sure. And then you should see it show up with kind of a strike through showing that that event has been removed from the calendar. If you find a tutor and you need to go ahead and restore that, you can always add that back onto the calendar by clicking that Restore Default. So now we've removed that date, and this would be a great example of when to use that Add Another Item button that shows up down here, because I want to add a makeup class for this. And it's going to fall on a Friday, so it doesn't fall on that traditional Monday, Wednesday. Every week, it's kind of a one-off event. So I'm going to add another item and just set it for that Friday, May 10th date, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's just our makeup date. I don't need to put any repeating options on this one because it is just a one-off event. And when I do that, we probably want to just put a little note in the body area for those users that are looking at this event. Whoops. I didn't follow our own rules there of Control-Shift-V. So maybe we'll center this. We'll give it a heading for, just to kind of bring attention. There's no class on that Wednesday. We're going to do a makeup class on the 10th. So now we can save. I see my updated messaging down here. And if we refresh our calendar, let's go into May. I no longer see that event showing up on Wednesday, the 8th, but I do see it showing up on the 10th now. So I was able to kind of remove that event and add that one off there. Okay, did any questions come through on events or repeating events? Hopefully that was pretty
No,
clear.
was
You
a
guys are
little
pros at
quiet
doing
there.
this. Just a reminder, so when I'm clicking on any event within the calendar, it is taking me to that same event page with that same event information. So just be mindful, if you're using repeating events, it's going to have that same information. And then the last thing that I'll showcase up here, we did showcase this in another webinar, but all this is a custom block that we've added to showcase a featured event, and we've added it to show up on this calendar page. If you have questions with how to do this, get with your account manager, they can help you out. But if you had something like an event date change and you needed to make that really big right on the calendar page for users to see, this would be another great spot to showcase, hey, we had an event cancellation or this date changed. Please, be aware that we moved the event date. All right, that was everything that I had, just kind of walking through some event basics, event creation, and the repeating events. So Allison, I'm going to turn it back over to you for some more show and tell type stuff.
Yeah. All right. That was fun. Okay. So clearly, what Jordan was showing you there was utilizing Drupal events within our system. And yes, there are other event platforms and other things you can do. So I'm going to talk through a little bit more with Drupal events, but I'm also going to talk through just visually what you can do. So for those of you who are like, yeah, I'm not really using that calendar tool, I'm not going to use that tool, but what can I do to help emphasize my events on the site? Let's take a look at some real examples of real customers and what they're doing. And hopefully you will see some things and go, oh, I like that. That's kind of cool. So here's California Association of Area Agencies on Aging. They got a conference coming up. All right. It's big. This is big in their work. This conference is their everything right now, and it's May 1st through the 3rd. So here's something we will see if you have a major event. Don't forget that rotating image space on your site is your prime piece of real estate. Stop the rotor if you need to. It's not rotating right now. They'll get it back to rotating after the event, but right now this needs to be front and center. It's what people are coming to their website for. So just keep that in mind. Good visual graphics for your events. We've talked a lot about rotors and images in the past. Just that reminder of let the words be the words that you type in. Don't put words on your rotor images, please. Use a nice visual background for it, and then make sure you link out to wherever you need to go. So they have two different features in here. We'll just take a look at their annual conference coming up. Very nicely laid out using components. Why attend? Here's our speakers. And then they have links to registration, agenda, lodging, a bunch of accordions for the FAQs. This is a really nicely built event, full conference kind of thing. So let's look at a registration page. And this will be something, if you use our web forms to register, that you might find yourself with two options: register by credit card versus register by check. Those are options that you would consider doing if you need that check option, daily rates, options, payment processor, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, we've seen these events. They also, now their exhibitor is closed because we're getting close to their time frame, but their sponsorship's still open. So we do see a lot of sponsorships on sites. Sponsor levels, sponsor amounts, register to be a sponsor by credit card, register by check again. They have their sponsor level information inside these accordions. I really feel like the way they put this all together, taking what you would see as a paper packet brochure about a conference and making it visually laid out on the site is a nice job. So there's that sample. Another one of our senior organizations, VPAS, these guys have a lot of events that are free. And so one of the things that they've done that I think is nice and neat and worth highlighting is utilizing their event calendar for all of their events. And they have the web form registration right on each and every event. So they'll close them when they hit max capacity, so which you can set up on events. So they have every calendar item basically on their calendar has an event registration on the actual event page. So if you imagine that page that George just had up, adding a form onto that event calendar page, because this is very specifically tied to their calendaring system. Go to their full calendar. So all of these events, and a lot of them are recurring, and I'll probably pick one that's closed. Okay, we'll have, and these are recurring via date range. They'll have their sign up stuff and they can submit for that. So anyway, there you go. Okay, these guys, let me refresh this page. All right, I'll stop it right here. They are about to do their campaign celebration. And one thing that came to mind when I worked with them the other day is we actually purposefully did this, like, let's put this on the site about 4 different places. Because you guys all know this. People come to your site and they have a different brain than you do. And they're like, didn't see the rotor picture because this one is rotating. They missed it. So how could they see it otherwise? Well, you know what? We're also going to put it as a promo banner. All right, maybe they didn't see that. Maybe they're going to go, I'm going to go to the calendar because it must be on the calendar. And guess what? It's on the calendar there too. So it's literally on a multitude of spots within the site. And I just thought that was just, that reminder to you guys, those big events that are super huge, think about how you're going to place them on your site. Put them in different places. And use that rotor space well. And don't forget with the rotor, the thing with the rotor, because we did this the other day when we were setting up their rotor. This rotating image comes down at 8 a.m. on May 1st. You can schedule your rotors. So if you're utilizing a rotor to promote an event, use the scheduling tool and have it come down when the event's over. You don't know how to do that, it's on our support site, or ask your account manager, we'll help you with that. Okay. All right. I do have a QR code up. So this was actually a real conversation with a customer the other day who said, hey, I want to lock in what my event URL is going to be so I can put it on a flyer. And I said, well, what do you want it to be? And they're like, well, what's it going to be? And I'm like, what do you want it to be? So you guys get to decide what you want your URL to be for any event. And keep it simple, folks, and use it year after year, and don't put the year in it. Then you can generate a QR code. And for those of you, there was a number who were like, I'm not sure how to do QR codes. I'll explain how I got here in a minute. The QR code, that is a digital representation of the letters. Weird, right? It's like hieroglyphics. It's another language. So https://www. That's what that says. That QR code says that URL. That's why you can go to any of 100 different QR code generators, put in the same URL, and get the same QR code digitized. So that's how that kind of works. It's just a digital representation of whatever URL you come up with. How do you get to one of these? I use Adobe Express. I like theirs. It does allow me to change the color of it, do some different things. I think Canva has it. There's a variety of different QR code generators. You can literally Google QR code generator free. Now, a lot of the free ones will have ads pop up. I use Adobe because it comes with anyone who uses Photoshop, which is a tool I use. So I just am in my Photoshop account and I'm using Adobe. Some of you are like, yeah, I don't have that. That's fine. I'm pretty sure Canva has QR code generators and there's other tools. And if there's anyone sitting in this group who has their favorite QR code generator tool and wants to put it in the Q&A, I'll share it with everyone else. I just know what I use. So I know you guys are out there doing this and making your own QR codes, because then all you have to do is download it, put it on a flyer. So I was like, hey, instead of putting the URL at the bottom of the flyer, put the QR code on the flyer. Put QR codes on flyers. People scan them all the time. It's great. Linktree, Linkttree, Linktree is another one, says Christy. Thank you. All right. So that's the QR code thing. Keep going with my samples. I just pulled up a bunch of pages, folks, so I'm just gonna work through them. Every time I pulled one up, I had an idea in my head, like, oh, I kind of like this. So we're getting school's almost out for summer. I have a high school senior graduating on May 8th. Mind blow. Anyway, we're gonna be getting ready for the next school season coming up. Especially a lot of my United Ways do backpack programs or stuff the bus programs. This is one of an interesting one as far as this event goes. They have a lot going on with theirs. But I wanted to show you some ideas here too. As you think through events, sometimes events aren't a one form event. They're a multiple form event. How do I manage that? So buttons are a great way to help you manage kind of multiple form events. So Be a Backpack collection site is like asking businesses in that area if they want to be a place people drop stuff off at, right? Or make a monetary donation. We're taking money for our backpack project, fine. Or I'm gonna need it for my kids. So the request programs, we've seen a lot of these, what date are you picking up? And then this is gonna go on and on with how many kids do you have? You have another child, you have another child, you have another child. So there's a lot of customizations and things that can be done with this. It's pretty cool. And then their last one was volunteer to help distribute these. They have collection days, collection points. They're going to go pick up those boxes from places. And I know when they did this last year, they had limits, like we need 6 people here and 5 people here. So that's another thing. I have a couple of my events that have limits on them, so I'll show you that. But waivers. So if they say this volunteer is under the age of 18, the waiver is a little bit different for a parent signature. If they say they're not, it's an adult, then they can sign it and do it themselves. A lot of our events that are volunteer type events will have waivers. So that's a common thing that we'll see on forms. This one's laid out in a box so you can't miss it. We can have them hide. I think this one opens or closes. Yeah. So it starts open and then you can close it. That's an idea on that. I actually used that page in a webinar once. And so I'm logged into the site here showing you just kind of different ways you can lay it out. I also like to remind folks that in some cases, the form could be like in a column on a page with other stuff in a column next to it. So it's just a styling that you can come up with to kind of bring attention to it at the same time. So I just thought it was a nice layout. Stuff the bus. See, here we go. What was it on this one? Oh, this was the multiple students, the waivers, the check boxes. Again, we're starting to see a lot of these come through. And they can be set up a lot of different ways. Christmas Bureau also, I'm like, backpacks and coats and Christmas stuff. So another form, again, with a lot of additional households. Now this one, These guys have gone to the level of all these different clothing types, if there's sizes, all sorts of things. So don't forget, our forms can get really involved. So if you have a need to have something with a lot of options and a lot of different choices, it's very possible. And the conditional piece in here is really good. So based on answers to questions, we can pop in other fields for you as well. Yeah, I have a few more. And here is set the table. This they have, it's a free event. So they do this cook in the area comes and does these food things. So here's the deal with this. It's limited. You only got 30 slots. So this one has a countdown, like no spots are left. You're going to be on the waiting list. So that's also another feature that you can lock limits. You can add a waiting list if you need to, that sort of stuff. All right. Now, Mary, I see your question about Civi CRM. So if there's a reason why you can't do the Stripe form like on the site, but you're really loving what you're seeing here with this build out, keep this in mind. And those of you who are paying through another tool, this button can go anywhere. If you need this to go to a different page to pay on, such as the Civi CRM, now they might have to duplicate a little bit of info, but you could actually have them pay in another tool, but capture your information here. So yes, we're showing you the web form side of it because these things are fabulous. But if you have some restriction, talk to your account manager. We can maybe figure out a way to work around some of that. All right, webinars. Webinars and training. Nice page here by Unity Worldwide Ministries with all of their upcoming trainings. They use the modal with some special notes. I don't know if you could see that because I'm only showing the screen. But here's their link for their second quarter webinars. So when you come to here, it has this form. The reason I thought this one was extra interesting is because, can I just do it really easily? Diana's gonna be like, Allison, what are you doing? Yeah. So they have it going to a payment page, but it's an optional payment. It's a love offering if you choose to make it. And if I say yes, then they recommend $35 or I can put in an other amount. If I say no, they're like, you're registered, don't worry about it. So I thought that was kind of cool. So if you have a like optional pay event, like you're like, I really like them to donate for them, but we're not going to force them to, this is a method that might work for you. All right. Women's United Legislative Breakfast coming up. So here's an event with sponsorships. We see these all the time. What happens if I'm a sponsor? Well, if I'm a sponsor, I get a table for 6 at the platinum level. I get 4 at the gold level. I get 2 at the silver level. I get 1 at the bronze level, or I can buy individual tickets. So they fill this out, and this has a bunch of those conditional things I told you about. If I'm a platinum sponsor, I get 6 attendees, and so they'll all pop in. If I'm gold, I get 4. If I'm silver, I get 2. Bronze, I get 1. Or if I'm doing individual, then I can put a quantity in and it'll show that many in. So we do have the ability to do conditional messaging with some of this. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you a sample of something similar to this, but if you're asking for email addresses and they provide them, we can have a custom message send to each person. Your ticket has been purchased for the legislative breakfast. So that's kind of cool deal. All right, golf tournaments. We have a number of folks who do some kind of form of a golf tournament. This is actually like a Top Golf type of place. And this was last year. So your sponsor logos, that's common. Don't forget to add a space for sponsor logos. They can slide in a carousel. They can be listed as is. So what this United Way decided to do is they said, if you're paying by credit card, we're not going to ask you if you want to cover the fee. We're going to tell you you're going to cover the fee. So if you're like, well, I don't want to cover the fee, then click here and pay by check, which puts it back on them because they have the different sponsorship levels again, they have the tea times, they have the choices, but if they're gonna pay on this form and register on the form by credit card, they're gonna cover the 2.2%. It's automatically worked in. You go to the check page, then they have to send in their check and they'll get instructions on mailing their check, etc. Okay. And this is a neat one with golf. Are you ready to provide your team member information? How many of you guys have done an event and they're like, I don't know who's going, I'm just buying the team. So if they say yes, then it asks for that information. If they say no, no worries. You can send it to us later. And then there's instructions that go in the email that goes out. Another golf classic. Sponsors, this rolls. Yeah, sponsor, this is what I saw in this one. It has a rolling sponsor banner. So that is something that you can do with the different sponsor logos. Just a thought there. All that. Media sponsors. And then it can conditionals. If they're a sponsor, they'll have different levels, they'll have different choices. Cover processing fee, don't cover processing fee. You got it. Days of caring, days of action, volunteer type of events. This one in particular, these guys have a very limited number of volunteers for some of their events, and they're getting ready for this is coming up. So you will see on this form here, like if there's any remaining, 0 remaining, 2 remaining, 5 remaining, or unlimited, we can take as many people who want to sew as possibly can. You're all welcome to come sew. So there's an example of a form that has limits. And this is an option that you may or may not see, and I'm not going into how to add the option. It's called option limits. It's actually a handler on your system. Some sites have not had that feature added. If you're watching this and you go, I really need that feature, ask your account manager. We'll just make sure it isn't it's already on your site and send you some instructions on how to do that or book with us. We love meeting with you guys about these. And that's just a reminder too, if you have a big event coming up, please book with your account manager, or at the very minimum, email them what you've set up so we can look through it and maybe go, hey, did you know you could do this? Or, just give you an attaboy, great job, because sometimes you guys just kill it and we don't need to do anything. Another day of caring event, register a team, register an individual. This one, again, it comes with that whole waiver bit. Release, these in small print. Photo release, regular release, they check the boxes that they've read it. You can have a sign form, you can have them type them in, that sort of thing. So again, some options on all your forms that are out there. All right. I think I have made it to my last sample, and this one I'm logged into because I want to show you some things on the back end. Then we're going to kick it over to Jordan for a demo on our Mindful Giving platform, which is an event opportunity for you to get items. So that is a really cool one. I know we've talked about it before, but we're in 2.0 version, and there's some really, really neat things you all need to check out. So let me do this quickly so she has time to show you that. This Power of the Purse event, very similar to the one you just saw for the legislative breakfast, asking emails and dietary restrictions and all of those kind of things. They are asking about fees. One of the things that I think is interesting in these is stuff like individual tickets. If they say 4, how do I get it to show 4? So do know our conditional setup on here allows you to do a lot of interesting conditional things. So for example, I'll just go to attendee number 4 on your conditional settings. This one is visible if they purchased a table or if the ticket number is greater than or equal to 4, because it needs to show, person number 4 needs to show for 4 if they chose 5, if they chose 6, if they chose 7, if they chose 8. So we can set these things up in conditionals, which is kind of handy. And it just happens. And then the other thing that they did that was interesting in theirs with settings was the emails. So literally, if I'm attendee number 4 and they put an email address in there, what if they didn't put an email address? Well, then I don't want to send it. The condition is if that email, and that's email 4's spot, is filled, then I'm going to send this message. What's the message? The message is web form Power of the Purse, their name is going to populate in here. So I just want to make sure folks realize that every field on a form has what's known as a key or a token. And those keys can be added into the message that comes back to them in an auto reply. Allison, your ticket for the Power of Purse on May 9th has been purchased, and here's that information. But really, I can take any field and turn it into a key and put it into that information there. So things to note. That's it. That's my share. Questions have been kind of quiet. Hope I'm not putting you all to sleep. I'm going to send it back to you, Jordan. It's your turn to go show mindful giving stuff.
Wonderful. Okay, let me go ahead and
this is
snag
fun.
the screen here.
Nice update, you guys, that has been done to this platform. Looks great.
Yeah. So I did briefly pull up Canva because I just wanted to show that QR code here because it's so easy. This is a Girl Scout flyer I made for my daughter. We put a big QR code in our front yard so people could buy cookies from us. But I wanted to point out where that is. If you haven't used it in Canva before, it is going to be under the apps section. And then if you go to the bottom, you'll see some more popular apps. And once you click QR code, it kind of saves it down here for me to continue using. But I can select QR code. I can pull my mindful giving URL or whatever, that event URL, enter it in here, generate the code, and it's going to pop that QR code right on the graphic for me. So just wanted to show that option because we've been pointing a lot of you to Canva lately. Okay, Mindful Giving version 2.0. We've been talking about mindful giving for a while now. We've been in kind of our first version of that, and we've been working on getting version 2.0 ready, which it is now, and we're very, very excited about this. So version 2.0 comes with some different styling. It also comes with the ability to offer multiple campaigns, which is, I think was the #1 request. Right now, our version 1.0 is just one campaign at a time. Version 2, you can run multiple campaigns at the same time. So if you have a Stuff the Bus campaign and you're starting to collect winter coats for Christmas time or any type of adopt a family where you're collecting donated items from your donors, you can run all of these campaigns here. So this is kind of the landing page. You can put some info text above just explaining what this tool is and how you use it. If you go into a specific campaign, it's going to show a list of curated items that you have handpicked directly from Amazon. So you can put any item on Amazon that you can find that's available on this list for donors to take a look at. They can choose to add an item to their cart so that they can purchase this item. When they do, it's going to update the cart over here in the upper right-hand side so they can see exactly how much they've got in there for you, and they can continue to add. These are all some dummy items that we've pulled over. And then when they're ready, they can go to the cart and they can check out. So they'll see, hey, you're almost done. Here's a summary of what you purchased. If they want to put an additional, cash donation on top of this item, they can add that to their checkout page. It'll then take them to the official checkout page where they can put their card information in. But I love this tool because it keeps all of the donations done on your website. So this would be a part of your current website now, which means that you get to retain all of that donor information. This is just a form on the back end. So instead of getting donations from someone that you was an anonymous donor or you didn't quite get their contact information when they dropped a gift off, you'll know the email, the first name, the phone number, you'll know all of the contact information for every donor here. So you can reach back out and thank them later. You could send them a marketing material later on for another campaign. So the donor will put their card in here and they'll pay that donation. When the donor does that, oh, go ahead, Allison.
No, go ahead, keep going.
Okay. So once a donor purchases an item, a couple of things happen at the same time. This money here that they have purchased, this $27.65, this goes directly to your organization's Stripe account. So you get the funds immediately. At the same time, this order gets sent to Amazon to be fulfilled. So Amazon will work to fulfill that order. They will ship it directly to you, or to whatever location you need to put in the back of that campaign. So you can ship to multiple locations if you're running different campaigns. So those two things happen at the same time. Amazon will then kind of let you know, hey, we've got an invoice for you for exactly, this amount here, the $550, and you can then pay them with the funds you have sitting in your Stripe account right away. Hopefully that was clear, but if you have questions, put them in the Q&A.
We have some customers who have had some great success with the Mindful Giving platform. Like, some of you might be like, I'm not sure how I'd use this or what the interest is, and I'll go into that some more. But can you share some of the scenarios that we've seen?
Yeah, we've seen we have a Ronald McDonald House of Cincinnati. They use our Mindful Giving tool right now. So they are constantly, their campaign is kind of always active. And they're collecting food items for parents and kids at the hospitals. We've seen another great use case is animal shelters. There's always a need for dog food, dog toys, cat food, pet supplies that are needed. We've had one of our shelters, they sent out one email to just a list of their donors that they know. And I think they had almost $5,000 worth of in-kind donations within a week of sending out that email. So it seems to be a pretty big hit to use this platform. I know another one of our customers using Mindful Giving, they through just that adding additional donation on that last page for the donor, they covered the cost of Mindful Giving with those extra donations on top. So it essentially was a zero cost for them to get this up and running. There is a cost for this platform, which we can get into, but it's we've seen it be just so useful for getting those donations to your organization. The other great thing about this is for the donors, this technically is a 100% in-kind donation. So they can write this off come tax time. We can have the Mindful Giving site send the donor a thank you email, and we can put your tax information down there at the bottom for them. And we can kind of customize what that email looks like. And it's very easy to add. So the great thing is this was all built in Drupal, and every single one of you has a Drupal website right now. So when we're adding Mindful Giving to your site, it's going to look just like you normally see with Drupal. You'll see an extra one for commerce and an extra one for Mindful Giving up here. So it's all located within your site. So it's not another tool that you're going to have to use. It's all kind of together. And we've got some training. We can add products easily from this page. You'll be able to manage your shipping locations, one per campaign, so you can ship to multiple locations if you need. And you can see all your orders. The other useful thing from this tool is that you can also export all that order data or donor data. So if you have another CRM that you're using, you can pull an exported list from Mindful Giving and then import that into your other CRM.
And I think I recall hearing last year, or I think it was last year, one of our organizations did like a social media blast for items for foster kids, I believe, around Christmas time, and they had big success on getting items purchased. So here's the thing, like, why this is interesting and why we're having this conversation is because the donors of today want to buy stuff. They like buying tangible items. They like buying backpacks for kids and coats for kids and shoes and blankets for homeless and things for seniors and things for foster kids and all of that stuff. They like buying the tangible items. And this allows you to have that connection with the donor. If you've ever used like a wish list kind of thing, you can put stuff out there and they get bought and sent to you, but you don't know who bought them. You don't have that relationship, and they're not getting the tax write-off. This is a platform that will allow them to buy from you as a nonprofit, get a tax write-off, you create a relationship, you're getting items you need, you're probably getting more items than you ever thought of before because of if you promote this well, it will take off. And there's that extra donation line, which usually covers it. So let's get to that cost part and how it works, because I'm sure some people are like, oh, this is kind of interesting. We have One Each Technologies has formed a relationship with Amazon, and we actually have this product in Amazon Marketplace. And that's why when you hear us talking about Ronald McDonald House of Cincinnati and stuff, we have organizations who are coming to us for just the platform that aren't website customers necessarily. You guys are website customers, so you get it half the price that they do. And we're running a special. So in the marketplace, it's not your price. In the marketplace, it's $2,400 a year for this platform to be built. Our customers get it for $1,200 a year. Right now, our special, if you think you want to try this out for a year, is $600 to get this built and integrated into your website. But that special is going to end. I know a lot of budgeting is happening right now with July, so by the end of July, we're gonna have to close this special. But if you think this is something you could see doing for stuff the bus, like let's get it going now. End of year, coats, that kind of stuff, let's get it going. So it is another tool in your wheelhouse that's available to you. You could add it at any time. I'm gonna throw a little poll up, just see what you guys are thinking of this. And yeah, I'm excited about it, and it's been fun seeing people start to utilize this. There's a poll on the screen. If you think this is something that you really are interested in, or maybe later, or no, that's not kind of my thing, that's fine. If you take a moment to take a look at your screen and answer this, we really appreciate your feedback on it. We're going to be wrapping this webinar up. Lots of event stuff, very interesting things. And I'll go ahead and end that poll that's up on the screen. A couple more coming in. All right. Thank you so much for participating in that. So yeah, we had a good result. 19% of you said need it now, 51% said later, but interested, in 30% said no. So a lot of you are interested in it. We're going to keep having some more information on it. And we'll follow up with those of you who have expressed an interest for sure. You're going to see that coming from your account manager. All right, that was that poll question. And then go to our closing screens, Jordan.
Yes, closing details. So just a reminder, I can take this one. All our webinars are posted on our support site. So support.oneeach.com/webinars. We've got every single one we've ever done there with the recording. If you need to get a support ticket in, again, our support site, support.oneeach.com is there. That support ticket is in the upper right-hand corner. You can click to submit a support ticket. If you don't have events on your site and you want to start utilizing Drupal events, go ahead and get a ticket in for them if you need that. We do have some stock forms to help get you started on a couple of things. Get with your account manager. They can show you the links for those, but you can request those to be added to your site for free. Always be booking meetings with your account managers. They want to help you make the best of your site. And then our upcoming webinars for next month in May, we are going to go back to the basics a little bit and cover some kind of website 101 on your site. Then in June, we are going to do a campaign prep webinar, since we know most of you are probably getting ready for campaign season. In July, we don't have that one detailed out quite yet. We've got a few ideas, but haven't solidified. So if there is something that you're really, really wanting to see and you haven't seen it in a webinar yet, please reach out and let us know. We'd love to hear from you what would be the most helpful. So we can pencil that in for July. All right, and that is everything that we had. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the Q&A. But if not, thank you so much for coming. We enjoy doing these every month. We enjoy seeing the same names over and over again. So thank you for the events April webinar.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Thanks.